Hello and welcome to the Real Weird Sisters. Welcome to our first live stream. I'm Martha,
And I'm Alice.
and we are here today, as you all know, I hope, to react to a Harry Potter musical. We all just watched it.
Yes, and Martha, you've obviously seen it before, but this was my first time, as the listeners know. And I have to say, it was kind of exactly what I was expecting, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's a good thing or a bad thing for you either.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get into it more. Yeah, welcome to everybody who's joining us live. Welcome to anybody who's listening to this in the archives. But yeah, we're super excited. We're hoping that we don't have any technical issues. Of course, it's our first time.
We already had a few, so hopefully that now they're going to be out of the way, because that was kind of our biggest fear coming into this, because we sometimes do have problems with my microphone. And of course that had to happen. So hopefully it holds up. So I do apologize if for some reason my microphone goes out, and hopefully the audio quality will stay okay.
Knock on wood. Okay.
Yeah.
We've knocked on wood, so we've got that out of the way.
Yeah.
All right. So Alice, you just finished watching a Harry Potter musical. Before we actually get into our reactions, I do just want to give a couple of little warnings for anybody watching or listening. First of all, we will be spoiling a Harry Potter musical, obviously. I hope nobody's listening to this and hasn't seen it. I know one person is listening to it and hasn't seen it, Tim. But we are going to be spoiling the entirety of Harry Potter musical, of course. And the other warning I just want to say is a Harry Potter musical is not exactly safe for work. There's definitely some language that's used that we don't use on our show usually, but that might let slip at some point if we're quoting a Harry Potter musical in this instance. So if you're listening with kids who haven't seen a Harry Potter musical, maybe this one's not for you.
Yeah. I don't anticipate that there's going to be a lot of language stuff, but just in case.
Okay. Yes, exactly. So,
and I don't think I'm going to be able to quote things, unfortunately. So hopefully nobody's anticipating me reenacting.
I've got a long list of quotes here to go through. So,
yeah.
All right. So let's just go ahead and start with general thoughts. Alice, how did you feel? You said similar to what you thought it was going to be, but I don't know what that means. So,
well, here's the thing. I knew coming into it that it was going to be this sort of homemade quality to it, which is fine, but that had honestly been a big deterrent to me for years of why I wasn't really excited to watch it. And I will say that the audio quality and the visual was okay, but the audio was a little bit distracting at first. But I got used to it. So at least, I was expecting it. It was how I expected it to be, but I was able to get past that. And I think that overall, it didn't actually end up distracting me too much from the play.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen this twice before, and it's been a while actually. So a lot of this I've kind of forgotten, but I definitely remembered the audio not being great. I feel like you also get used to it, but also it does get better. The audience quiets down a little bit. Once they've met all the actors, they're they get all their laughs out of the way.
The audience was definitely super hyper. They just came in there, and I don't know if they were told please be as loud and react to everything as much as you possibly can. And if they had cue cards, laugh now, that was a joke, but I kind of don't think so. But
I think what I've heard is that, so this was a college-made production at the University of Michigan, and it was all these college students, and it was basically just all their friends who were watching it. So, yeah. I'm just imagining if this was my friends who were putting this on, I would just be in stitches the whole time. So that makes sense that that's how they'd be.
Well, and that was actually something I was going to ask you. And I think probably for a lot of listeners, they probably don't know much about the background of a Harry Potter musical. I looked it up a little bit on Wikipedia, but I was surprised. I was impressed by the quality of the writing and the acting for it being a pretty homemade college product.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Darren Criss is the one that everybody knows. Alice, did you know that he was in this beforehand, or had I told you?
I did. Yeah. I think you told me way back when Glee was big. And I remembered that, and I've seen screen caps of it and stuff. So it didn't come as a surprise to me that he was in it, but he was really good. But he wasn't the only one that was good. It was a high quality of actors.
Right. And Darren Criss, he's not just Harry Potter, he's also the co-writer of the musical. So that's why I was bringing him up. It's him and the guy who plays piano in it, AJ Holmes. So, but yeah, there's some great acting. I don't think there's really any weak actors in the show, which is great. Yeah. So do you have any other general thoughts before we kind of dive into the actual sort of organized thoughts on this?
Well, I will say that the probably the biggest thing for me that was a little bit tough was just the length. It was really long. And I get that it's a play, but I do think it would be way funnier in person rather than just watching it on YouTube, because for me, it's like a chore to watch even like a 5-minute YouTube video. So I think that just having it that length, it was hard to sit through in one sitting. And I mean, probably if we had done this in another way, I probably wouldn't have watched it all in one sitting. But I think that, yeah, I just think like if I had watched this broken up over the course of a few days, or like even over the course of a day, but not all at once, I probably would have liked it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, I thought it was really pretty funny. I could see why it was so popular, and I can see why, I mean, Darren Criss obviously was very successful after this. He clearly is really talented, so.
Yeah, well, Alice, I'm so excited to hear you speaking so highly. Before we started this today, especially, like, I woke up this morning and I was just like, oh, what am I putting Alice through? Like, this is gonna be terrible. Like, Alice is just gonna hate it, and the reaction show is just gonna be her like pretending that she liked it.
Well, maybe I am.
Yes, you might be acting, but I don't think you're as good of an actor as Lauren Lopez. So, okay, well, let's just jump into the story here. Just kind of touching on just the actual plot of a Harry Potter musical. It's definitely kind of a mashup of like all the stories that happen throughout the series, and it's like really important, I think, to go into this knowing that this is not canon at all and it's a complete parody.
Right.
I hope you went into it with that, because I think if I had like not been sure about it, I would not have reacted super.
Well, I have to say, like, yes, I definitely never thought that this was going to be like really accurate. And I honestly liked the parts, and I tweeted this out, so sorry if I spoiled the reaction for some of you, but I honestly liked the fact that the first act was way more just like an original plot. I mean, it was using pieces from the series, but it was something that we hadn't seen before. I liked that better just because it was fun to be able to have something brand new, drawing on pieces of the series that we know. And then the second act, it was too much like the 6th book and the 7th book, like especially the end. I mean, it really heavily relied on that plot, and it wasn't.
Well, and they take direct lines from the book as well, too. Like from the scene where Harry and Voldemort are in their final duel, there's like actual quoted lines from Deathly Hallows. So yeah, I agree that the first act is definitely the really strong part for me. And I agree, like this time watching it, I was kind of like, yeah, the second act could have been a little bit shorter and more songs. I think that's part of it, is that the first act has like 12 songs and the second act only has 4.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think the weird thing is that I'm pretty sure, I mean, the first act was way more parts. I think it was way longer than the second act, but for some reason it just flowed a lot smoother. Like, I watched the first 5 parts and I'm like, wow, this is going fast, but it was like, we were already a good half hour into it. And then the last half hour, I was just like, oh my gosh. So.
Right. And it's not just because it was like over the course of 2.5 hours. It was also just the second act was slower in general. So that didn't help.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the casting. First of all, I just was looking at the comments here, and I thank you for the compliments on my sweater. I don't know if they're all compliments, but I like my
compliments
sweater.
On my sweater?
Oh, you're not getting any compliments on your sweater, but I'm getting also complimented on this cat stuffed animal behind me, which is actually Alice's. And just one more note, I know this isn't great for people listening in the archives, but actually right behind me, I'm in Alice's room because I'm back at our parents' house for my spring break right now. And
your room's probably a dump.
Hagrid's hut behind me. I actually touched it to move it from the bottom shelf to the top.
Moved it to be visible, and I gave her a stern talking to, and I said, you be careful when you move that, it's fragile.
Somebody did say great cardigan, Alice. So
thank you, I appreciate it.
It was with the addendum of LOL, so I don't know how true that was, but yeah, so we're going to jump into the characters and the casting here a little bit. We talked about Darren Criss. Just wanted to read some of our patrons' comments from earlier in the day. Canna mentioned that Harry is definitely a portrayal of movie Harry. And Danielle said, this is immediately reminding me why I had such a crush on Darren Criss for so many years. So I think some mixed reactions about Harry, but definitely for me, I think Darren Criss is great. And I think he's like, kind of a like meathead version of Harry, but he's also like really sweet in the way that book Harry is. So
yeah,
what do you think?
I agree with Canna. Like it was definitely more of that movie Harry where he's just kind of into his image. He feels really invincible and he thinks he can do anything. And that was fine for me. Like I liked the fact that they made fun of that and made it funny instead of like in the movie series, it's more of him taking himself super seriously. So I was fine with this being like comic relief, you know, even though it's not really a parody of Harry in the books. It's more of Harry in the movies.
Right. And I think it's more like how people see Harry. It's a parody of that more so than it is of either book Harry or movie Harry. So Ron and Hermione, definitely we have some differences in terms of how they're portrayed. I mean, everybody's like a caricature, but I think they're like supposed to be caricatures. So
yeah, Ron was pretty funny. I liked how, especially like right from the beginning, I thought it was really funny how he was making fun of Ginny so much and like super sick of her because he actually is pretty nice to her in the books, like for the most part. Sometimes he does dismiss her and stuff, but generally speaking, like they hang out together a lot and it's fine. So I did like how he was just like, ugh, Ginny, go away.
Did you like what he said? There's only room for 2 under the invisibility cloak. Come on, Hermione.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about Hermione? What do you think about her?
Well, she was pretty funny. Like I thought she was probably my least favorite out of the trio. Like not her herself. Like actually the character I thought was funny, but like the way that everyone acted with her, I didn't find to be as funny. Like
thanks, Hermione.
Yeah, that didn't totally resonate with me. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of funny, but it was kind of like they were trying to force that. Like I didn't really see where that came from in the books or the movies. Like Ron and Harry never, I mean, maybe sort of in the beginning of the series, but like that was never a thing of like Hermione losing a ton of points. But I guess maybe they're free to come up with their own jokes, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And then I think we kind of touched on Ginny a little bit. I think Ginny's actually so cute in this. What about you?
Yeah. Ginny was very enjoyable. She was, at first I was kind of like not sure what to think. She definitely was a pretty like janky costume with that wig and stuff.
Yeah.
But I liked the scene with her and the guitar, and it was just funny how smitten she was with Harry. I mean,
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
So I did enjoy Ginny as well. And she had a good voice, I thought.
Yeah, definitely. And I think so. This is like everybody's. You have to choose. Like everybody loves both these characters in their portrayal in this. Draco and Voldemort. I think it's kind of like who's your favorite of the two, because those are the two like most popular, I think.
Yeah, and it's tough to say. I think it was really funny that they chose like this little girl. I mean, it's a college student, I'm assuming, but she's really petite, so she's like looks kind of like a little girl to play Draco. That was pretty hilarious, and she did a really good job too. She was really, really funny. But as far as Voldemort though, I think probably would be my favorite.
Oh, really?
Because, well, he was just ridiculous. Like Draco was kind of like how Draco really is in the books, and Voldemort I guess too, but it was way funnier than Voldemort. I mean, Draco already has a lot of comic relief surrounding him. So I think for me Voldemort was
more unique to actually have
exactly. And it was just funny with Quirrell, of course.
Yes. Yeah, for me Draco is my very favorite part of Harry Potter musical. I know it's not for everybody, because some of the people who were tweeting with us said that they were not a fan of him rolling around on the floor, but I just love.
Okay, we have to talk about that for a second, because I didn't really get that, to be honest.
I mean, I think with a Harry Potter musical, and maybe I'm just dumb, but like for me, I think most of the jokes in a Harry Potter musical, you can't think about them. They're just like, if you try to get them, then they're not going to be as funny as just like, if you don't get it, like you're not really gonna ever get it, is the problem. Because it's so dumb. Like maybe this is why, like I think a lot of the people who are saying they didn't get this kind of thing, those were Ravenclaws. And you're
like
a Ravenclaw, obviously. Yeah. So you're trying to analyze it and stuff, and I just don't think you really can analyze those kinds of things.
Right, which is part of why I was apprehensive about watching this, because I have to say that like just goofiness for the sake of goofiness, like as much as I can be super goofy myself,
favorite.
But like I just don't like get into it the same way that you do. So I was worried that I might not find it to be funny. And there were parts where I was like, okay.
But like the unbreakable vow.
Well, actually that was funny, not the weird part where he like threw up on his hand or whatever. But the part where Draco like tricked him at the end, that was pretty funny. That was actually really funny. That was one of my favorite parts. But no, just sometimes like just these jokes that they throw in where you're like there's no rhyme or reason to it.
You said you liked
it's a joke.
Yeah, well, you said you liked Rumble Roar. I was a little surprised by that.
That was funny. I did think that was really funny, especially just because it was like, and they did several different times of like snumble, whatever.
Yeah, like snumble snore or something.
And stuff. Yeah. So I did like all the plays on Dumbledore's name and picturing like a stupid lie. And again, that's not really my sense of humor, but like, I did think Pig Farts was pretty funny. And
you did?
I know.
That shocks me.
Well,
oh my god.
Just because to me that isn't just dumb. Like that actually makes sense because it's based at Hogwarts. I mean,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's not just like something that they just said and it sounded funny and didn't have any connection to like.
Okay, so I'm guessing you weren't a big fan of Hufflepuffs are particularly good finders.
Well, I did think that was funny just because the way Dumbledore reacted to it. He was like, "What the hell is a Hufflepuff?
What the hell is a Hufflepuff?"
But
yeah, that joke, you said we weren't going to be saying any direct quotes, Alice, but you remembered that one.
Well, I tweeted that one, so I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think like Pig Farts, I was not expecting you to like, so I'm excited that you did.
It wasn't my favorite, but I thought it was funny how Malfoy just kept talking about it, and so I did like it, even though it wasn't my very favorite.
But the like parkour, you're not a big fan of the rolling around.
Well, I didn't understand what the point was. Although
it's just like a look at me, I'm the center of attention kind of thing.
See how it was with him because it's like that's kind of how he is in the movies. Like he's always like in weird poses and doing stuff. So I can
when he has that like ring in front of his mouth.
Yeah, but I think I didn't really. I don't know. It was okay. It was just didn't totally get it.
Okay, well, let's talk about Voldemort a little bit more then, and we can talk about Quirrell at the same time. You said that's your favorite character, probably?
I don't know if it was my favorite character, but it was a pretty funny plot to me.
Okay, yeah, definitely love all the Quirrell Voldemort moments. We should go rollerblading together.
Yeah, and I loved just how it was two people, like, just strapped together, and then when they were like trying to like go to bed and then they're like just lying on top of each other and fighting over who's going to sleep on has to sleep on their stomach and who gets to sleep on their back and
you gotta roll over. I can't sleep on my tummy.
Oh, and I did also love the laundry on the chair.
Yes.
Even though that was really random, but it was just funny because they were like trying to show them as a couple working out their differences. So I did enjoy that.
And my favorite is when he tries to do the same thing with Bellatrix. She's like, "What do we do next, my lord?" And he's like, "Oh, anything really. Just talk, hang out."
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think is one of my favorite scenes with Bellatrix in the Ministry of Magic and everything, and I just thought that was really funny, and yeah, I love that part.
Okay, well, let's talk about Hogwarts professors, both Dumbledore and Snape. Dumbledore, definitely a very weird portrayal, but I do really love him. What about you?
Really enjoyed Dumbledore. He was one of my favorites, just because I thought it was so funny how he just like. I don't even know how to sum it up now because it's kind of all a blur to me, honestly, like watching it that fast, but it was super funny to see him like favoring the Gryffindors and just like the way he would say things. Honestly, I feel like it was a more accurate portrayal of Dumbledore than you know who.
Michael Gambon. Yeah, actually, that does. Everyone on a Sunday said definitely prefer this Dumbledore over Michael Gambon. Seems much nicer and kinder.
Yeah,
I do love. And my favorite student, Harry Potter. I can't do his voice. Actually, that's really bad. But yeah, Dumbledore's great. What about Snape? Snape's one of the weirder ones.
Snape really was funny to me as well. I just thought it was. No, I didn't actually have a character that I thought was dumb or that I really didn't like. I thought Snape was really funny in how he was just like so overtly evil. And then I loved all the jokes about like why did Dumbledore trust him and everything. Like that was really funny.
Did you like the bomb sandwich?
Okay, that was kind of dumb. I don't know. Like it was a funny idea of like he's gonna pretend like, or he's gonna act like or it's a moment where Dumbledore's like saying how much he trusts Snape, and then Snape's like literally trying to kill him overtly right there. But the bomb sandwich, like that, I was like, there's something we could have done that would have worked a little bit more smoothly, like not been totally random.
I don't know if that one is actually related to Potter Puppet Pals, but I feel like it has to be. Like,
I was immediately what I thought of when they're like, why is it ticking? I'm like, what's that mysterious ticking noise?
Yeah. Ticking, I think you mean licking. Finger licking good. I can't do his voice at all. That's really bad. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it was corny, but it was all right. But that was probably one of my not so favorite moments.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we just have a couple other students to talk about mainly. Cho, what do you think about her?
I did think it was really pretty funny reveal when she was the random girl in the back, not the Asian girl in the front.
Right.
And I did like that part. It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then other than that, though, she was a little like just really random.
Bless your heart.
I mean, it was funny, but it was like, how is this Cho, you know?
It is so random, yeah. Yeah, Kana from Japan said, a domo arigato Japanese joke from a supposedly Chinese Cho Chang, but she said she loved the Cho Chang, so.
Yeah.
I love how that's actually lavender brown.
Yes, that was pretty funny. Like, that was a good reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you think it's like,
you're so racist.
Yeah. Ginny. Yeah. She's like, konnichiwa. Yeah, that scene, I like it because it like feels like it's gonna be really problematic, and then it like turns into a big joke.
Yeah. I was at first I was like, oh, this did not age well, and then I realized like, okay. I mean, it still isn't like the most PC humor, but it turned out to be like I didn't think it was offensive, but yeah. I'm sorry if anyone did.
Yeah, a couple people said that they weren't sure how they felt about it.
Yeah, it was a little bit pushing it, but I think the way that it turned out, it was okay. Yeah,
I think it was like so self-referential.
I was expecting it to be way worse is the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about Cedric, Neville, Crabbe, Goyle?
Cedric was pretty funny. I did like all the Hufflepuffs are good finders jokes.
You did?
Yeah, I did think that was funny, even though it was random, but I did find it to be pretty funny.
Yeah.
But so for some reason, I had thought that the Hufflepuffs are good eaters thing came out of this.
Oh, well, I don't think that's from this.
Oh, okay. That's just a thing like that people say. Okay, well, I guess I always thought that
that's from Pottermore.
Oh, okay. I always thought it originated from a Harry Potter musical, so I was like waiting for that, and it never came.
You're like, Ron's the one who's eating all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm like losing it. What were you talking about?
Just how Hufflepuffs are good finders.
Oh yeah, the Hufflepuffs are good finders. That's the thing I've like mentioned on Sorting Hats before, and then been like, well, we can't talk about that because Alice hasn't seen a Harry Potter musical. So yeah. Oh, Nicole in the comments says Alice found it to be pretty funny. So
good one.
Maybe you're a Hufflepuff, Alice. I don't find that surprising at all.
Well, it's pretty funny though because my husband I talked about before. He's a Hufflepuff. He's not a good finder. I will just say, like, if he has lost something, he's like looking around for it, can't find it, and then he's like, I can't find it anywhere. And then I go over and it's like literally right there. So like you just have to like lift up one thing and it's right there. So
if I was gonna like explain the Hufflepuffs are good finders joke, like the only explanation I have for it is like people are always trying to figure out like what the defining characteristic of Hufflepuffs are.
Right.
So then they're like, oh, that's what it's going to be. So they like want to have something to be proud of.
That's what I thought it was going to be, but I didn't get why it had to particularly be that they were good finders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they just chose something totally random.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nifflers, I guess, would be in Hufflepuff.
I guess so in this canon. What about Goyle? Back off, nerd.
He was funny. I wasn't like I couldn't remember if that was Goyle or if it was like I wasn't sure which one was which. I mean, which is fine because that's how I always am. And I know they said it, but I like zoned out at the second when they introduced themselves, so I wasn't sure who was who throughout. But I did think, especially the big one, was really funny.
Yeah. Nerd. Okay, well, let's jump into the music. We don't have to talk about every song, but let's talk about like the highlights. Did you have a favorite song?
Well, I have to say the opening song was really fun. I really liked that one. It just was so upbeat, and I started to feel like, okay, I can get into this. So that was probably my favorite, because I feel like after that there weren't too many that I just absolutely loved, but there weren't any that I thought were really bad either. I liked the one with Ginny and the guitar; it was funny, and then also the one with Voldemort and Quirrell.
Yes. Yeah. So I have to agree. I think Going Back to Hogwarts is probably the best one. And that's a couple of patrons said, like, this opener is really catchy. Meredith said, I love the opening sequence. It's going to be stuck in my head for the rest of the weekend. I think that's probably the strongest one. I also really do love Not Alone.
Which one is that? Can you
remind me? that Harry, Ron, Hermione, and Ginny sing together.
Oh, yeah. That one was good, too. And I thought it was pretty funny. And then when Draco came in and stuff, too.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's the two of them together at the end for the reprise, so I like that.
Yeah. Oh, I also liked the one of Ron falling in love with Hermione.
Yeah, that's a good one. With Granger Danger. Yeah, that's with Draco too, right?
I don't remember now.
It's all Granger Danger.
Yeah.
So that's actually, I was looking up the story of Harry Potter musical, like, production beforehand, and that's the first song that sparked the entire thing, was that these college students were sitting around and they were, like, reading Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, and they were, like, theorizing that Draco just has this big crush on Hermione, so then they were, like, they came up with the idea of Granger Danger, and they came up with that song, and then Darren Criss was one of their friends, and he had written the song Not Alone already for something else. And then they, like, put it all together, and then it was, like, the rest is history. So yeah. And so the closing, like with the credits, that's when Darren Criss sings Granger Danger by himself too.
Okay, yeah. I think we have time to go through the songs a little bit more though, for sure.
Yeah, people are asking for us to sing. I have to say that's probably not going to happen. Also, there's like a weird sunlight coming in right now, so hopefully people can see me. But I don't think we're going to sing unless people really beg for it.
I don't think I would be able to right now, just because I don't know the songs very well. But Martha, you could.
Maybe, probably not.
You need to fix the blind. We could take a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll be right back. Sorry, everybody. Just like 5 seconds.
Well, I'm alone now, so I'm drinking my LaCroix. I don't know if Martha can hear me because we usually have headphones in, so I'm like literally just by myself.
It's not much better, actually. Well.
I was feeling the airwaves, Martha.
Were you singing?
Very candidly. No, like I said, I don't know any of the lyrics or anything, so I wouldn't be able to. But I don't think
you could look up the lyrics.
I don't think you have that excuse.
I don't know the lyrics either. Okay, so let's go through the songs a little bit.
Just real quick, Martha, when was the first time you watched this? It was definitely at least 8 years ago.
Yeah, I think I was actually in 8th grade. So that would have been, I'm going to really age myself here, or youth myself. That would have been...
Euthanize yourself.
Okay, Tobias. 8 years ago. So yeah, that was only in 8th grade. 8 years ago. So it's about 8 years. Yeah, you were in college.
And I remember you pestering me about it, and I didn't cave till now, so it's been a long time.
Yeah, I've been trying to pester you, and I remember it's weird, like I did not know that Darren Criss was the actor in Glee, like because I watched this before I watched Glee. Or maybe, okay, you know what? This has only been out for 9 years.
I think it came out like what year did it come out?
2009. Yeah. It came out in 2009. And I was in 8th grade in 2009, 2010. So maybe I was a freshman when I watched it.
Good story.
Okay. It was around the same time that I was watching Glee, and I watched Glee and I wasn't sure it was the same person, but then I found out later and then I got really excited.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I do remember seeing, like, I remember when Glee was on the air and people just being like, kind of like when they would find out that he was in a Harry Potter musical, they would a little bit go nuts and then like post a picture of him dressed as Harry Potter for it, that kind of thing. So I remember seeing it, like, I just remember seeing that picture of him as Harry Potter frequently, like on Facebook and stuff. And people would be like, oh, look, Darren Criss is dressed up as Harry Potter. And then like, I remember being sort of surprised that it was like a somewhat legit production. Like I thought it was just something even more like fan made, but yeah.
I do think it's really cool. I mean, just to talk about Darren Criss a little bit more, I do think it's really cool that he just created this as a college student.
I mean,
with
very impressive. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he went on to be on Glee and on Broadway and stuff too. And I think a lot of these actors haven't done like as much as him, but they've done quite a few other things. Like they're all very talented, like we said.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If some people in the comments are saying they don't like Glee very much, but the first two seasons are really, really good. But that's all I'll say.
Yeah, even just the first one season was about all I could really do.
Okay. Okay, so let's go through the songs a little bit. Going Back to Hogwarts, we talked about, is great. The next song is Different as Can Be. That's the one with Quirrell and Voldemort.
Oh, yeah, that one is the one I was talking about. That was pretty funny, and I think really established their relationship, and like how it was going to be throughout.
Yeah. I think it's a good one too. That's one of the ones where it's like unfortunate that it's not better quality because their voices are really, really quiet in that one. I think that's kind of the case for a lot of the songs, but I think particularly that one, because I remember when I was watching it this time, I was like really excited for the song and I was kind of underwhelmed by it because I remembered the song really fondly and then it wasn't quite as good.
Yeah. I found myself throughout kind of wishing that I mean, maybe there is, that I just don't know about it, but wishing that they had like an actual album released of this music.
There is. There is an album and it's on SoundCloud. It might be on Spotify now. But yes, actually people in the comments earlier were mentioning, let's remember that there is actually the real album. So I've listened to the real album.
See,
it's been a long time.
I think I could definitely get into that because I think, first of all, is it good quality? I mean, it's normal, like, production quality.
It's recorded in a studio.
Okay, so that would be pleasant to be able to listen to it like that. And then second of all, I just like I said, I think the songs were really good. So
I'm glad that you say that because I agree. I think the songs are very good. There's a couple that are like obviously pig farts. The song is not super long.
Yeah.
Pig farts, really, really fun. Pig farts, yum, yum, yum. They just turn off the lights.
And actually, it kind of sounded like it was going to be fun. Like, it kind of sounded like it was the beginning of a pretty good song. And then I was a little disappointed it never came back.
Yeah. Well, let's stay tuned for a Harry Potter sequel, Alice.
Oh, okay. Well, spoiler. I don't plan to watch that. Just kidding.
Okay, so that was good. We talked about Ginny's song. That's when she's dancing on the stage with the guitar.
Yeah,
and I have to say,
you tweeted out like this was a very relatable scene.
I thought it was just very endearing. I think Ginny does get like crapped on a lot in this musical, but I think that her character is actually stronger than the movie character Ginny. I mean, not stronger than book Ginny by any means, but I feel like she's more developed actually in this like short, not so short actually, but
long.
Yeah. Yeah, but I thought
so. Martha, have you spent some time with your guitar? Pretending like that was your boyfriend, or what?
I don't have a guitar, Alice.
It sort of reminds me of this time when I was like in 5th grade. This is the stupidest story that I can possibly think of. Do you remember this? I'm pretty sure you were involved, but you were like 5, so you have even less of an excuse here. Or I mean, you have more of an excuse. I have less of an excuse. But like some of my friends were over, and they thought it would be. This was not my idea because I was never really that into like.
You weren't that boy crazy.
No, I wasn't too boy crazy. Some of my friends were, and they were like, "Let's have like a dance in the basement."
Oh, I remember this.
So we got out like
brooms, right?
No, like a music stand, even dumber, and a stick horse. Yeah.
I remember.
So,
I think
yeah,
I was like the
actually
ticket taker.
relatable.
I think I had to be like the ticket taker.
You were definitely like present. I don't know if you were dancing. I think you might have been at some point too, but I don't know how long it lasted, but it's like a clear memory in my mind. And I won't disclaim my friends' names because it's pretty embarrassing for all of us. Like, I'm throwing myself under the bus here, but I won't throw my friends under the bus.
Yeah. I remember. I think you were like, Martha's gonna be the ticket taker. And you like each walked in with like your arm around a horse. That's so embarrassing. How have we never talked about that before?
I don't know when else it would have come up.
It's so embarrassing. Yeah, so you probably sang the same song that Jenny sings.
I'm being honest, it was not my idea. I mean, I still did it, so it's still really embarrassing, but I happen to know that it was one of my other friends' ideas.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, we skipped the real Ginny's song, which is the like, you're really, really skinny.
Oh, that was pretty funny. And yeah. I liked how Harry was just acting like he was going to change all the words when he was saying it later to Cho. Like he was practicing it on Ginny, but it was like the name, and then he just turned out to sing it exactly the same, but with the name Cho. Like, so it made even way less sense.
Yeah, so commenters, I did just sing. So anybody who said they were going to up their Patreon pledge, pay up. Just kidding. I wasn't really singing. It was very bad. So, yeah, what about the dragon song? Sasha said, defeating the dragon with the song sounds about as legit as a broomstick, TBH.
Yes. I have to say, I loved the dragon stuff. That was really funny.
Yeah, that was... Did you like the 4 dragons?
I did, and I loved the part where they brought up Mushu the dragon. That was
maybe it'll be like Mushu from Mulan.
Because I love Mushu because he's ridiculous. Right. But I have to say, yeah, the dragons was one of my favorite parts just because it was just so funny, and I loved all the pop culture references throughout. So that was
like really all the Zephron references.
Yes, I did enjoy that too.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big Zephron. Can't even say Zephron. Well, because it's pronounced Ephron, not Ephron. So that's why Zephron is a little bit weird.
They don't say Zephron, they say Zephron.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that would be weird.
Okay, well, anyway, moving on. Zephron. I'm a pretty big Zephron fan myself, so I liked that.
Yeah, but you're not a High School Musical fan.
No, but I like him in other stuff.
Yeah. Did you like when they started to sing We're All in This Together and then they stopped?
Yes, that was funny.
Yeah. So then we talked about Granger Danger. Any other comments on that?
I don't even remember that one that much, actually.
It's the one where, like, falling in love. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sang again.
Okay, you go.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that song. Now we do have a lot of comments about the next song, which is To Dance Again, which is Voldemort's return, where he and Harry do a tap dance.
Yes, that was good.
Greg said that foot song with Voldemort could easily have been cut. But Sasha and Hallie both said that they love the Voldy Harry tap number. So, I have to say, sorry, Greg, you're outnumbered. I'm with Hallie and Sasha here.
I agree. I really enjoyed it. Like, I thought it was pretty funny. It was really random, again, but funny. And but I do think I kind of see what Greg's saying, because that was the part of the play where I first started feeling like, and for those of you just listening to the audio, I kind of was a little bit falling asleep, like just kind of like just dozing a little bit, like my eyelids were getting kind of heavy, but I mean, it was still funny to me. It was just because it had been at that point like a good hour and a half, and I was like, picturing the fact that I was going to be sitting there for at least another hour and 15 minutes.
Right. I think the thing with that one is I think that should be the end of that first act, and I feel like it feels so much like the end, but then there's like another 5-minute scene afterwards where we have like Quirrell being sent to Azkaban and stuff. So yeah, I love the song though. I love the I'm not gonna sing it, but I do really love it. I think it's very funny.
I kind of feel like if this had ever gone further than the college campus production, like they could have made it really awesome, like, you know, fix some of these things. This is sort of like the beta mode for the play. I'm just kind of surprised that they never tried to take it any further.
Well, actually, so here's the reasoning why. So they have the rights to their own script because they created this, but the thing is that Warner Brothers has the rights to all these characters.
Yeah.
So this Star Kid production, which is the name of this production company, they will never be allowed to make money from this. So they will not ever be able to create it unless there's like a GoFund. I mean, I don't even know if they would be able to do it. This is what the Wikipedia page says, so I could be wrong exactly, but basically they're never going to be allowed to make money from it. So that's why there hasn't been any kind of.
First of all, don't you think they make quite a bit of money off of all the ads on YouTube?
Well, yeah, probably.
But, okay, but second of all, that's what I kind of figured, but they could pretty easily just go through and change everyone's name. Like,
yeah, but then
there's other Harry Potter spoofs. Like, I know that there was this one that was in Chicago when I lived there. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like in the professional theater in Chicago. And it was like all 7 plays all mashed up into 1 hour or something like that. And I'm guessing that they might have changed people's names or something. And I know it wouldn't be, maybe it loses a little bit of the humor, but I think, I still think that it could be done.
They could get sued though then, because like they'd be like such creations of the same characters. I don't know. I don't understand law.
I think the first act, I would need to learn more about it as well, but I feel like the first act is different enough, like as far as plot wise, like they definitely take elements, but it's clearly a parody. The second act, where they're just pretty much rehashing what happened in the 7th book, I do think that would need to be changed a little bit, but I just think that they could, I don't know. I'm just kind of sad that they never were able to make it to a more professional level.
Right. Actually, so Tim just commented, and I'm a little bit worried now. He said, "Are podcasts allowed to make money from it?" Because that's like kind of, what do we do here?
Yeah. Good point, Tim. You're right. We better just stop now.
But Nicole did say the YouTube video actually got demonetized, meaning that they can't even make ad money. But there were a couple ads for me, but I guess that they didn't make the money.
I had an ad every single time it went to a new part.
Really?
But yeah, I think that's why I got behind everybody. But I just figured that, it's possible though that they put those on and then just YouTube makes money off of it, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Something. I don't know how that stuff works, so.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move on to the Act 2. We really don't get very much music in Act 2, and I think that is one of the weaknesses of it, because I agree that the music of a Harry Potter musical is like one of the strongest parts. The music and the acting, I think, are the 2 best parts. The writing too. But I don't love
what's its weakness?
Just talking. Well, the production quality, and then also
definitely.
The actual dialogue is funny most of the time, but I like the singing better, and maybe that's not how everybody feels, because I am like a big musical fan in general. But yeah, so let's jump into Act 2. Pig Farts is the first song, and like we said, that's very short.
Yeah,
but let's. I guess we're talking about the music right now, but a lot of people wanted to comment on the homemade Dark Mark.
And I missed it. I had to text Martha. I'm like, I didn't, because I was kind of following the live tweeting on Twitter, and I saw a couple of people saying that they thought that was really funny. And I'm like, I looked away, like right as he flashed it at Voldemort or something, because I could tell based on like other like tweets that were around the same time, I could tell that I had missed it. So then Martha texted me a picture of it, and it was pretty funny.
Right. So yeah, here's the picture for anybody who hasn't seen it. That's Draco's homemade Dark Mark.
And I'll just describe it on air. It's like a smiley face with a snake coming out of its mouth, but like a very friendly looking snake.
Yeah, the snake has like a big smile on his face.
Yeah,
and yeah, Draco. If this homemade Dark Mark doesn't convince you,
yeah.
Oh, I'm getting worse at this.
Lucius Malloy's son.
Lucius Malloy's boy.
I did find that to be pretty funny too. I love Malloy for some reason, like that. Even though that doesn't really like mean anything, it's just funny.
Yeah, it's a good burn too. Just like, I don't know your name, and I loved seeing Voldemort crack up for like a minute on stage.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people said that they really like the Dark Mark. The next song is Missing You, and this is the song that Harry sings about his parents, and Quirrell sings in Azkaban about Voldemort. So it's a duet.
I could see potential in that song, but I feel like it, for some reason, it was kind of, first of all, it like, wasn't it on, it was like focused on Voldemort, and then suddenly the music started and it goes over and like Harry's just randomly there. It was kind of came out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was doing the, because first it was Voldemort saying he missed Quirrell, kind of,
right,
and then it just flashed to Harry, and I'm like, okay, maybe if we would have started with Quirrell and then kind of gone to Harry, like, it just was a little bit weird. But
I agree. Yeah, it was a little bit out of place feeling, and I kind of had forgotten. I thought that it was Voldemort who sung this song and who sang this song, not Quirrell. But yeah, I do really like Quirrell. I think he not just the Quirrell Voldemort interactions, although those are the best. But
well, and I do think we should point out that our co-host, well, not co-host, he's been a guest on the show, almost
frequent guest
on the show, almost one of our most frequent guests. I won't name who is our most frequent guest, but Mike Bloom. I just thought of him so much during this, because I just thought, like, so many of these things I could just see him finding really funny, and I could just see him being really good at delivering these lines. So I was thinking, like, it would be so fun to have Mike Bloom as an actor in this, and I know he's been like an actor in the past, and so I was just thinking, like, oh, this would have been perfect for him to be in. And then so I tweeted that at him, and he pointed out that he actually kind of looks exactly like the actor of Quirrell, and I didn't really think that, but then when he said that, then I definitely agreed. So that was pretty funny.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was good. Then we have Voldemort is Going Down. That's sung by Hermione, Ron, Ginny, and it's when they think that Harry is dead.
Yeah, I don't really remember that one for some reason.
Yeah, it's not super memorable.
Okay. Yeah, being honest, like the part where I was getting sleepy was in the end of the first act, so it wasn't like I was asleep or something.
Oh, weird.
But I don't know.
Yeah, and then the final song is Not Alone, Going Back to Hogwarts reprise. So Voldemort starts singing that to Quirrell, and then they all go on stage and have their final bow. For me, like, I just love seeing the cast like come out and take their final bow. It's so, like, every time a cast does that, I'm like, I don't go to plays that often, but anytime I see a cast do that, when I do go to a play, that always like brings tears to my eyes and like really warms my heart. Like, seeing them all holding hands and bowing together, it just is like really a nice, tender moment for me.
Does it make you even more choked up if the audience is all standing?
Well, yeah, and one of my favorite things to do is to be the first to start a round of applause and the first to stand.
I hate doing both of those things. Like, I'll stand, like, okay, here's the thing. I agree with you. Like, I feel like that moment when the actors come out on stage for their final clapping, and especially if they come out like for a second round or whatever, I do find that to be like pretty emotional moment, because you can see like these people put in so much effort and everybody loved them. But I hate being the first person to stand. Like, I would never. And then second of all, starting a round of applause, I mean, maybe you're a little bit more anonymous when you do that, but I'm kind of
I love starting the round of applause. I live for that. Like, okay, I don't always love to stand first, but I will do it if it's something I love.
You literally just said that you like to be the first person to stand.
But no, but the I meant it more like I like it in the same way that I like being the first to clap, but I love being the first to clap. Like,
okay, well, that's quite odd, but
I just love when a speech ends and I get to be and everybody starts clapping with me, and I'm like, these are my sheep.
Turns it into a moment about you instead of a moment about the performers.
You nailed it.
No, but anyway, I don't really know. So I agree. Like, I thought it was pretty fun to see the end of it, and then I liked the credits, like when they were showing who played who. Like, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, definitely, especially the Voldemort one.
Yeah, but
yeah. So that brings us to the end of the music here. Do you have any other comments on the songs overall? Like you said, you really liked the music in general.
I'd like to listen to it on SoundCloud, honestly. I'd like to get to know the words a little bit more. Maybe we could do a reprise for people, or not a reprise. I don't know how to call that.
Part 2?
No, not a part 2. Like, just that we do our take of it.
Cover it?
Yeah, we'll do a cover.
You're gonna sing, Alice.
No promises, but I'm just saying maybe. I mean,
maybe a new patron goal.
I don't think so, but I don't think people would pay for that, to be honest, but
I don't think so, no.
But I'm just saying, like, Martha, we've done some videos of us singing in the past, and I've been willing to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if listeners know about those videos.
We have one listener who's aware. I'm not gonna say who.
Yeah, somebody in the comments keeps saying no singing. Okay. We won't. Yeah. So Alice, let's just kind of let's go like more big picture now. Favorite part, favorite moment, MVP, any kind of awards that you want to give out here.
Okay. It's hard for me to pick like a favorite actor or a favorite character because like I said, I just really did find most of them to be pretty funny. But I will say, like I said, I really liked the dragons part just because it was funny, and then I loved when they picked the dragons, and it turned out that Harry was going to be having the Hungarian horntail, and the other ones had all those like fake, like fictional dragons.
Did you like when Snape was pouring Hunt's tomato ketchup on?
Yeah. Oh, that's something I feel like we should talk about a little bit. Is I did really enjoy all of the references to specific brands of food. Like,
yes,
it was funny, and it made me really hungry. I was like, just seeing all the different foods. I was like, and they were all these delicious junk foods that I don't like. Not that I don't eat junk food. I eat a ton of junk food, but like I just don't happen to have them in my house. Like I didn't have a single one of those in my house.
You didn't have Bugles, Fruit by the Foot, Gushers, Oreos, donuts.
Gushers was the one, I have to say, like Gushers was the one that kind of turned my stomach. Like I haven't eaten Gushers in a long time, and I used to like them, but like when I thought about it,
love them.
Well, when I just thought about Gushers, I was like, I think I'm too old for Gushers now.
Same.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Fruit by the Foot has like survived that.
Oh, I would love a Fruit by the Foot right about now.
Same.
First of all, by the way, they are way shorter than 3 feet.
3 feet isn't that long. That's like this.
That is definitely way shorter than 3 feet. That was like 2 feet. What you just
said. Like 2.5 feet. A foot is only like this long.
Yeah, and then you literally doubled that, and you said that was 3 feet.
Okay, this is not very productive. But the food, yeah, I gotta say, that was making me so hungry, especially the donuts.
Me too. That's the one I wanted the most. And I don't even really like donuts that much, but I do love donuts.
I do. I love both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird take to like donuts more than donuts.
Okay, it depends on the donut, but like your average.
Which kind of donuts? Chocolate or powdered sugar?
Powdered sugar for sure, but I like the chocolate ones as well.
Yeah.
How about you?
I think I like the chocolate ones better, but I'll take either one. Yeah. So yeah, you're saying that's the food was your favorite part of it?
No, it's not my favorite part, but we hadn't talked about it really very much, and I just wanted to make sure we touched on that. And I just thought it was funny. Probably my favorite part was we talked about Bellatrix and Voldemort in the Ministry. I thought that was really funny. I also really liked the part when this was stupid, but I liked when Dumbledore had his fake beard.
Yeah. They're like, "Where's Dumbledore?" He's like, "Not in here."
I liked that the Zac Efron poster was the Horcrux. Like that was really, that was really random, to be honest.
Extremely random.
It was funny, and
yeah,
and I thought it was really funny how many Wizards of Waverly Place references they had. I've never even seen that show. I'm familiar with it, but
yeah, it's kind of like Magic Jonas Brothers was kind of how I always saw it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I was too old when it came out. Like I was in
I didn't never really watch it. It was like the same era as like Zach and Cody and Corey in the House.
Yeah.
For me, I think favorite parts, I just love the whole Voldemort Quirrell thing, but I think my favorite is Draco talking about Hermione when he's like, "Who's the ugliest girl in school?" And Goyle goes, "Buckbeak." And then Crabbe goes, "Winky the house elf."
That was funny. Poor Winky. And then I saw she was winning in your poll, by the way.
Right. I did do a poll of who's the ugliest girl at Hogwarts, and Winky is winning. Hermione hadn't gotten any votes at this point, so go Hermione. And now that I say that, everyone's going to go vote for Hermione probably. But then, so Draco's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the ugliest, I'd give her a 8. Like,
and I did like how you had to
8.5. A 9, not a 10. Nothing over a 9.8.
I liked how he had to specify. I just think for some reason it was funny to me that he was specifying like 1 is the ugliest, because I feel like people always do that. Like, and it's always that 1 is the worst, but they're always like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. It's like you don't even hear that every single time.
Well, isn't that something on Friends where like it's the opposite?
Yeah, always... I mean, that can be funny too, but I just love how they were making fun of that.
Yeah, me too. And then, of course, the iconic line of, I'm holding out for a 10 because I'm worth it.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Draco, and I really love the whole rolling on the floor and like just, you know, his whole thing. It's so weird, but I just think it's so funny.
Yes.
Yeah, so what about least favorite moments? We already know LVP is the audience / the audio mixologist. That was
my poll, and it seemed I know, did you like my I didn't really know what terminology to use there, but my poll it seemed like overwhelmingly the results were that the audience was the least valuable player. And I saw somebody tweeted out a funny tweet, and I'm sorry, don't know exactly, I can't remember who it was now, but they said like, was there a 3-drink minimum at this event? Like that's literally how
Caitlin who said that.
Okay, so that literally was what it sounded like, because they were so hyper. Like, but yeah.
Yes, I think it gets better though as you go on. But
yeah, it does, and the audience definitely mellows out. Like, I don't know if they were getting tired of it, or if they were just like maybe the sort of novelty had worn off at that point. But
yeah, I think so. It's probably both. But yeah, so aside from that, what would you say is like your least favorite moment?
It's hard to say. I think, like I've said already on here, I think it just was sort of the end and how they just really relied so heavily on what happened in the books. And that part just to me was not quite as like witty, just because there weren't that many jokes. It was just like, honestly, like, it was funny when Voldemort like put his wand to his throat and was projecting his voice. Like, I like that part, even though that was from the book as well. But it was just like he was literally just quoting the book. It wasn't really definitely funny.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the other thing that I'm just not a huge fan of, and we already mentioned, is the thanks Hermione running joke. Like, yeah, I feel like they should have had a moment where they introduced that and then kept it going. But it's kind of like they just had it the whole time. I don't know.
Yeah. I did think it was funny how they never had really anyone from the Order of the Phoenix there, and then at the end, like Mrs. Weasley, when she came in and she just like revealed that they had all died, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I liked that too. Yeah, I just want to address the comments here. People are wondering why we're not talking about Umbridge. Umbridge is in a Harry Potter sequel, so we'll talk about that in a minute, because I think we may be doing a reaction show in the future to that one.
Okay, we'll see. I don't think I'm going to structure it necessarily the same way where I watch it and then immediately go into the podcast, because it's fun, but it's
a long day. I agree. Yeah. No, I'm just wanted to, because some people keep asking whether we're doing Umbridge or not, but we're not talking about Umbridge. Actually, I'm not going to say, but Umbridge is portrayed by the same person that plays another role in this one.
Oh, okay.
That's why Umbridge is not in this one.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not going to spoil it for you, Alice, because you're...
Here's the thing. I do want to watch a Harry Potter sequel, and we're not going to make it another patron goal. Like, I'll just say that. We'll just do it. I mean, we'll do it at some point. I can't make a promise on the timeline, but we don't want to repeat the goal and make it the same exact thing. So it's not going to be the goal, but we will do it. And I do look forward to it, just because I think, like, and especially because now people seem to be very enthusiastic about certain jokes from that one. So I want to understand the fandom. I never said I didn't.
Wow. Okay, so here's my question, Alice. We have a couple comments or questions from the comments, and we'll open it up too at the end. But my question for you: which play? And I know you haven't seen Cursed Child, but which play is more canon? Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, or
More
a Harry Potter musical? And then which is better?
I don't know if we can say which one is more canon because to me neither of them are canon. But
which one feels more accurately canon? If that makes sense.
Okay, well, I feel like this is going to not be the answer you're looking for. I do still think Cursed Child would have to be more canon.
I just wanted to hear your I don't have any bias here. Whatever your answer is.
Here's the thing. The Cursed Child, at least, I mean, J.K. Rowling was involved with the writing. I don't think this one is trying to be part of the canon is the thing. I think this one, Harry Potter musical, I mean, it's a spoof. It's a parody. It's not supposed to be canon. Cursed Child, to me, it's not canon either, you know? So it's like, they're both not canon, but it's kind of comparing apples and oranges just because, like, they're just really different. But yeah, I get why people are asking that, though, because it's two Harry Potter plays, so.
Okay, so here's the other question. Which one would you rather see live?
Ooh, that's a good one too. I think if this was put on at a Broadway level, then I'd rather see this probably.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I mean, partially I'm
like the same production as like if this was the same play that they just did, and then I probably would rather see Cursed Child just because I think I'm interested to see the special effects and everything. Mm-hmm. But if they did this at a Broadway quality, then I think I would want to see this.
Yeah, I think I agree. Not partially, I'm just partial to musicals, but yeah, I just think, yeah. And there's some things
honestly, that's been one of my like biggest sadnesses about Cursed Child is the fact that it's just a play. I mean, plays are fun, but musicals are so much better. So, in my opinion,
yeah, I agree. I know not everybody does, but yeah, I was gonna say if it was especially the same actors too, that would be awesome. Obviously,
yeah, and I don't think they would need to change actors for it to be like quality. You know what I mean? No. I think probably especially because all of the actors in it now are like older, probably are more talented now even, or have gained more skills.
Right.
You know, so they
already didn't look like they were 12, so that's not a big issue.
Yeah, they're 2. Yeah.
So I was gonna say this is a little bit of Cursed Child spoilers, so jump ahead if you can't, obviously, if you're watching live. But if you're watching this video or listening to this, there are a couple things that happen in this that do happen in Cursed Child, which is published like 10 years after this is released. Not 10 years, like 7 years. But so first of all, Voldemort and Bellatrix as a romance, definitely. That's not like super original, I know, but it happens here. And then, of course, it does happen in Cursed Child. Yeah. So interesting.
It was funny. And I mean, that's part of what I don't like about Cursed Child is that it's kind of like, again, it had that, we've talked about this on the Cursed Child reaction, but like it had that fan fiction feel to it of like, I could have predicted that. And the Harry Potter books themselves really didn't have that quality to them, even though some people predicted things accurately about the 7th book. There were so many twists and turns that were different and so much originality to it. And then Cursed Child came along and it did play heavily on a lot of what fans wanted, which then kind of backfires because it's like, okay, fans wanted that, but then like you also want it to be original. So it's not as great. So I feel like that's kind of a weakness of Cursed Child is the fact that that so many people like shipped Bellatrix and Voldemort, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it was funny. I mean, I think it's funny in like a parody form, you know? Yeah. So in this, it works.
Which is like kind of weirdly foreshadowing in a very bizarre way is that Cedric, after he dies, that actor ends up playing the part of a Death Eater in the 2nd act. Just like he doesn't have any lines or anything, but you see him in the background as a Death Eater.
Oh, and so like with Cursed Child, you're saying?
Yeah. So isn't that weird?
Ooh, now we know where J.K. Rowling got that idea.
It just was kind of weird. I was like, oh, Cedric actually is a Death Eater.
I didn't notice that, but yeah, if I'm sure on rewatches, it's easier to see things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's get into a couple questions here. First of all, we have a question from Emma, who wrote this in a little bit earlier, and she said, wondering when Martha first watched it, which we addressed. I was 14, I think, at the time. And if Alice thinks she would have related to it differently had you watched it any earlier than now.
I think if it would have been out when I was in middle or high school, then yes, I think I would have thought this is way funnier. I did still find it funny, but like I used to find that kind of slapstick humor more funny to my, like I used to be more into that, especially like middle school. I really did enjoy the goofiness a lot more. So if this had come out when I was when you watched it, then I probably would have liked it a little bit. Like I probably would have gotten kind of obsessed with it. Like
which I kind of was, but I didn't have anybody to obsess about it with.
Yeah, and like friends. For me, like I liked it now, but I don't see myself getting obsessed with it.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely was not even expecting you to necessarily like it, so
it's yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think for me, I didn't, my opinion on it didn't really change, except for I kind of like, there were things like the audio quality bugged me more this time than I did the first time. But actually, funny story about this. It's not going to be that funny, but but when I watched this the first time, we had really terrible internet at our house. And
we used to have the worst internet ever. So
literally, if you wanted to watch a 20-minute episode of like The Office, you had to have it load for 30 minutes. Like you had to have that page open and go like on a walk or something and then come back and it would be done loading if you were lucky.
And this was after the time when that should have been a thing.
Right.
Like,
this was like 2010. We had
the worst internet in the world forever.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Good thing I wasn't trying to podcast during that era because
it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. But anyway, so what I had to do is when I watched this, and I didn't watch it all in one sitting then, I think I watched it over the course of like maybe a week or two, because I also didn't get that. I didn't have my own computer at the time, so I didn't like have endless computer time available to me. But I would have to literally open like 10 tabs of it at once, like or however many of it I was going to watch. And I would have like part 1 loaded, part 2 loaded, part 3, 4, 5. And like I would finish watching part 1 and I'd have to open the like part 6 to have it be loading while I was watching the other one. And it was always like, because it literally like you could not watch a 3-minute YouTube video with our old internet. It was not good.
Oh, thank goodness that times have changed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, funny story from Martha. That's what we have here.
Hilarious.
Okay, so we kind of addressed this. Andrew in the comments asked, when is the Very Potter sequel Patreon goal coming? We're not going to do that as a Patreon goal, but we should probably talk about whether we're going to do reaction show in the future. Do you want to?
I would say
you want to do it eventually, right?
Yes, I would say. I would say this summer. Like I would say by the end of the summer would be almost a guarantee, just because once summer rolls around, I'll have a lot more free time. I don't see it happening before summer. But
yeah. Well, that's earlier than I thought you were going to say. So actually, I have never seen the third one, which is a Harry Potter senior year, which I don't even know when it came out, but I watched Potter musical and Potter sequel like within the span of like a month or two, like probably I think both together in about a month, and then I just didn't watch a Harry Potter sequel ever. So senior year ever. So that will be a fun one to do after we do sequel. But I have to warn you, Alice. People in the comments are saying that those two are both even longer than this one.
Well, here's the thing. I actually really did enjoy the live tweeting aspect of it. Like it was really fun to be watching it at the same time as other people, but I don't know if I'm going to guarantee doing that next time, just because I do think it'd be more enjoyable
with the reaction show.
Yeah, I like having the reaction show right after, just because then it's fresh in my mind. But I just don't know if I can watch a whole thing like that. I'm not good at watching movies. Like we've talked about this, but I don't like watching movies. So like sitting down and watching like a 2.5-hour thing.
But this is more like watching a TV show, I think, because it's watching like you're watching 2 long episodes of a TV show. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying, we'll see how it goes with like the idea of the reaction show and the live streaming and stuff. So that's not a guarantee, but we will do it sometime soon. And I could definitely see it being this summer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exciting. So yeah, people are also asking what the next Patreon goal is going to be. We're going to announce that this week. So we don't want to announce it yet, but
hold on to your wizard hats.
Right. So Caitlin in the comments asked, rank the Dumbledores, Richard Harris, a Harry Potter musical, Jude Law, and Michael Gambon.
Ooh, so okay.
Jude Law we obviously haven't seen yet, but
so far I'm a fan of Jude Law as Dumbledore, so he'd be pretty high up there. But definitely we know that Michael Gambon's going to be way down at the bottom.
Ooh, way down at the bottom, yeah.
Not visible on the screen right now because it's like on the floor in my basement. But I think, yeah, so Michael Gambon's the lowest. And then I feel like I do feel I want to keep Richard Harris as number one just because he is that quintessential Dumbledore. I know Tim doesn't agree, but too bad. And we'll have to see, like, once Fantastic Beasts next one comes out, we'll have to see how he compares. So I feel like they're volleying for spots 2 and 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think right now I put this guy, his name is Dylan Saunders, I believe. Let me see. Dylan
I'll take your word for it.
I typed that. So yes, Dylan Saunders. Okay. Super worth it to get that. But yeah, I think he's number 2 right now. Right?
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, because Jude Law is an unknown quantity.
Yeah.
And I'm not a fan of the news we've gotten about what we're going to see of Jude Law, like as far as his plot. So that might affect my opinion of his performance as well, but we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the questions we have right now. We have some general thoughts from patrons that we can read. If people, while I'm reading these, if people in the comments right now want to post any actual questions that we can answer live, feel free to do that. But we do want to read just a couple comments from patrons that we have. First of all, Canna said, overall thoughts as a small college fan production, I think they did a great job. A lot of good pop culture references, and the music was better than I expected. There were some over-repeated jokes, but no show is perfect. Zephron, Voldy, and Malfoy were the best. Pretty succinct summary, pretty much tops exactly what I feel like.
I totally agree. And again, I just think like that's part of why I did really enjoy it, was just knowing like how low budget this must have been and the quality that they got from it. I mean, that's not normal. That's extraordinary for just some college students to be able to throw that together. It was really good.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so we also have a comment from Canna again, who said the music competition is very well done. But then, so Emma, we read her earlier comment, but another one is that she says she genuinely loves and admires what a Harry Potter musical does with the Triwizard Tournament by cutting 2 whole tasks and the 2 wizarding schools. She says that that's ruthless, but it works so much better within the time frame than the 4th movie does with a similar time constraint. She says, although now I'm wondering what a 7-hour Harry Potter stage play would look like. So what would you think about a 7-hour stage play, Alice?
I mean, I wouldn't want to watch it on YouTube probably, but I would need to take some breaks, but I would love it just because I think it would be cool to not have to see so many things getting cut.
As long as they don't have an annoying audience watching it.
Yeah.
Here's a question from good old Timothy Allen. He says,
this is the first time I've ever seen him going by Timothy, by the way. Like, I know that that's like your real name, but nowhere have you ever used that.
Shut up, Timothy.
Doesn't quite have the same ring.
Actually, this is from Tim Jim, who asks, should I watch a Harry Potter musical, or am I good just having watched this? Duh, you should watch it.
Well,
you should not have been watching us.
I don't think that you're going to be a fan of it, just because...
You don't?
I think, okay, here's the irony. I do think that Tim Jim would enjoy, like, the song. Like, I think he would enjoy some of the humor and stuff, but it's such low quality. And here's the thing. Tim Jim submits pretty low quality work to our show and to other shows that I'm familiar with his work on. But he also is incredibly critical about audio quality and about production quality. So I'm a little apprehensive about what his reaction would be.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like he would not have fun getting past the bad audio.
Yeah.
So I feel like it does get better.
I do think he would like the humor in it, I have to say.
Yeah, I think he would too.
Yeah. Now, I don't know how interesting this conversation is to people who don't really care what Tim thinks, which is
everybody, I hope.
Like most of the rest of the audience, so.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're not getting any other really questions here right now, so I did just want to read you a couple of my favorite quotes, Alice.
Okay.
Just a running joke, what I really love is, yes, I know, Quirrell. I hear everything you hear. I love how many times he says that.
Yeah.
And another Voldemort.
Let's go out, Quirrell. I hear it's karaoke night down at the Hogshead.
Oh, I have to. That reminds me. The Hogshead reminded me of when that Harry thought he was going to be fighting a goat, and he's like, I don't know if that's morally right to fight a goat, and I'm like, better than what Aberforth did.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, what about we didn't talk about the whole scene with with Voldemort and Quirrell going out and then talking about the lines. This is gonna be crude. This is the line.
Back when I had a body, I had mad game with the bitches.
That was really funny. Yeah, I did enjoy that. And then that was the first reference to the fact that he had been with Bellatrix.
Yeah, exactly.
just ask Bellatrix Lestrange.
And then another Voldemort quote. Then now we actually have some questions from people, but
you're just like treading water till we get the questions.
Exactly.
Normally I just kill people who try to get me to open up.
All right. So here's a question. This comes to us from, I believe this is Caitlin, Carrie Lowe, on YouTube. But she asked, if you guys could play any character in the play, who would you be?
I think it'd be pretty fun to be Draco, especially because they have the precedent of that.
You gotta be Draco.
Otherwise, I think I could see myself playing Hermione just because
you're boring.
My other role. Yeah. I'd probably be better at playing Hermione because I'm not a very good actress. So then at least I could fall back on the fact that I'm sort of similar to her. But I think Draco's gotta be like the most fun one to play.
Definitely. I think it would be fun to be Snape too, because it's just like all the like really slapsticky ones would be really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you were Hermione, you could say, "Oh wow, you did a tweet. I'm looking at your Twitter right now." And you forgot to do the hashtag, so I didn't see this.
Oh.
You said,
Quirrell, get me some water. Pour it in my mouth.
You said substitute Quirrell with Martha, and you have a pretty good summary of our relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So accurate.
I thought I did the hashtag. Oops.
Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't want you to see it. I was like subtweeting you.
Right. Okay, now here's another question from Meredith. What kind of pop culture references would you include now? She suggests switching Efron for Ryan Gosling.
That'd be good.
I feel like Ryan Gosling's like kind of on his way out now and have to be like Michael B. Jordan or
like Ryan Reynolds or something.
Ryan Reynolds, maybe. Ryan Reynolds is kind of same era as Ryan Gosling.
Yeah,
Michael
I
B.
guess so.
Big one now. Oh yes. So Andrew just commented,
"Get me some Nasonex, you swine."
My favorite lines too. I have that written down.
Yeah, if we were linked together, Martha, that would pretty much sum us up.
Yes.
Also, like, just when you're at my house, then that sums us up.
I get you water all the time.
And other things.
That's basically, rich lady and her slave.
Servant. You are compensated with pennies.
Yeah, if you had any pennies lying around. I'm in your room and I actually see a little stack of pennies on the floor, which is kind of gross.
That's weird.
That was probably from you.
Yeah.
My money, yeah. Oh, yeah. Danielle said she loved the Seinfeld nod every time Ron entered. Yeah, that was just the one time that they made it really obvious where they did like...
Yeah, that was funny. And unfortunately, I haven't seen Seinfeld, so I didn't like get it as much, but it was funny to me.
Yeah, the music was the funny part.
Yeah,
it looks like we're kind of running out of questions here, but I think we kind of run this down pretty well.
Pretty much summed it all up, I think, so...
Yeah, one more of my favorite quotes here was when Voldemort makes his final entrance when he comes to Azkaban to see Quirrell, and he goes, "Hey, you."
That was
very good.
That was odd, but funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, I had so much fun talking about this with you, Alice, and it was fun to have people listening, and hopefully people are able to listen in the archives as well.
Right. No, I really enjoyed being able to see the people in the chat room interacting, and it was fun to see people's feedback. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we're really looking forward to, hearing from other people who just listen to this in the feed as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's Saturday right now, so I think I'm going to have to edit this a little bit, kind of just to get it into the feed, but we'll have this out within the next like 24 hours. By the end of the day tomorrow, before book club episode comes out on Monday.
Well, and this is on YouTube, so we can, I mean, we're talking right now to people listening live, but we'll be able to tweet this out, and then people could watch it on YouTube.
Right. But of course, Monday is our book club episode, The Order of the Phoenix, Chapter 5. The Order of the Phoenix.
And we already recorded that, so it's going to be a little bit of a, we're going to be talking about this episode, pretending like we haven't, no, actually we weren't pretending, but we were hoping that we had fun, and we did, so our prediction came true. We're practically Professor Trelawney, so.
Yes, basically. Like the inner eye does not see upon command, but
we kind of
does for us. Yeah, basically. Yeah, so thanks for joining us. Looking really looking forward to doing a Harry Potter sequel eventually. Maybe we'll try to do that one live, but not probably the same format exactly. But thanks for everybody for joining us, and looking forward to comments, and have a great rest of your Saturday.